Let's be honest, parenting can be messy and hard, but also so rewarding. In this podcast, we'll share all the ups and downs of parenthood, as well as share some of our favorite tips and tricks for parenting using both our experiences and expertise from our professional lives as a speech and language pathologist and teacher, but also our everyday lives as moms, just trying to balance it all. We're so glad you could join us.
Hello, welcome to And Then We Had Kids. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Sheena.
I think about that. I feel like it's been a doozy of a week.
I feel like it's been a doozy of a month.
We still what month are we in?
Is it March?
February.
No.
Almost March. We're almost
definitely
March.
not.
We're recording this, it's almost March, but it's surprising that it's almost March. It feels both. It's like one of those where you're like, yes, it's about that time, and you're like, wait, it's been this February month forever. Similar to January. Just as like
right. I was just gonna say, like, January was like that too, where it just felt like it dragged on and on.
I think I just have so many days where I wake up and I'm like, I am going to be so productive. I'm in like a big, like, since I've been home with winter, I think it comes with winter and not having like the opportunity to be outside as often.
Yeah.
And I'm home with my kids, that I look at my house and I go, I want to redecorate and redo everything. So I don't know if you can even tell, Sheena, but the chair behind me, we switched up my living room and my like playroom.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, so I haven't bought anything new. I've rearranged.
Okay.
We like have on the docket to like paint our fireplace. I'm gonna get a new rug. I'm like in the mood because everything looks like terrible. I've stared at it for so long. My like kitchen's like one strong breeze away from all like the cabinet doors. I'm like they're hanging on by a thread. We painted it when we moved here, and it's just like a big band-aid put over our kitchen that's definitely in need of some love. Then I'm just like, oh, I just am, and I don't have like the funds for that really to like do a big overhaul, but I'm trying like little things that I
things.
have, and I'm also realizing that I have maybe like one photo up of my third child in my house.
Oh, yeah,
It's
you
like
need more.
yeah, so I bought some like frames. I bought some like photo albums to put photos in.
It's so funny because I don't have pictures of my children up. It's just all of our travels.
Is that strategic? Or is that just because you love traveling more than your children?
That's a really great question.
Or because then you don't have to like worry about like, oh, there's all these photos of our firstborn because that's what you do. You do all of the photo shoots and then you actually get the photos printed and like.
Or you fill out like the baby book. Like my oldest's baby book is not fully completed, but like my second, I think nothing was touched past the first week of his life.
Good for you for even doing one. I didn't do any. I think knowing that I was going to have more than one kid and I was not going to be able to keep up with that. So I don't even have.
I think I enjoyed like looking at my own from when like I was a baby. And I think that's why I wanted to do it. And then I just like lost
Well,
steam.
that's how I felt about like actual photo albums. I know like we don't necessarily have to like print photos anymore these days, but like I enjoyed like going through the photos and be like, oh, this is so cute, or like whatever. So that's on my like mind these days of like, all right, I gotta make some changes. But and then
What
also
else
like
is on your to-do list?
Oh my gosh, Sheena, you have to come over and help me. Let's see. Well, I got a new rug, so I have to switch that out.
Okay.
Painting my fireplace. We're gonna hire somebody for that because it's just one of those projects that like we could do on our own, but like let's not. I want new dining room chairs. Mine are
same.
I don't I don't know.
But
I don't
really
need a new
room.
table. Well, I don't need a new table. The table's fine, but we have maybe like 2 to 3 out of our 6 main chairs. We constantly are having to like tighten the legs where it's like almost dangerous if somebody who's not familiar with the chair sits on them. Like I'm just waiting again for them to break. What else is on my I have to go through my oldest daughter. We're just very different in that I like close drawers. She doesn't. I like to put things away. She doesn't. My son is like very orderly, likes things like tidy, neat. My daughter does not. So I've been wanting to like go through her things to just like you don't need the piece of garbage that you found on the walk that you think you're going to use for an art project one day. Like that's what I
Yes.
say.
Those
Uh,
are things that I like when they're either at school or super busy doing something else. I just secretly go in and toss.
yeah. And yeah, I do that too. I just need to like go into like her room. Um, what else? I'm like looking at my house right now. I'm looking around. We have like blinds above our kitchen sink that have been here since we moved in, and they're from maybe 1992. Like not they need to
Oh, that
go.
sounds like fairly recently.
No, it's not, Sheena. It's not fairly recently.
Ah,
Yeah, I know.
I'm
Uh,
like one of those people that thinks like,
the 70s was 30 years ago.
right,
Yeah, I know.
100%.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Um,
And then it just reminds me of how
I
old I am.
You're great. It really was. No, that one was the 70s were just 30 years ago. Yeah, so like that's what I'm thinking about. And then on the same docket of like wanting to switch things up at home, I'm like, knowing you love traveling. I'm like, when is my next trip? What am I doing? What can I look forward to? And my family, we'll do like a family trip to Florida. And then you and I, we're gonna go
Yeah.
to Hawaii.
With
It,
our children.
with our children, it's gonna be my one of my brothers is getting married in Hawaii this summer. And so we're bringing our friend Rachel. If you haven't heard the episode with Rachel, our friend, go check it out. But anyway, she's coming with us too to help out. And then it just so happens that you have family over there. So we're like, wait. How
Yeah.
can we make this a trip that we can kind of do it all? Bring our
Yeah, I've been like
family,
trying to
go
find
to
an
wedding.
excuse to go because my grandma lives over in Honolulu, and has not had an opportunity yet to meet our youngest. And actually, she hasn't seen in person our oldest. Trying to think if the last time she saw him was when we took him there and he was like just turning one, or if
That's
she
what I'm like
came to
picturing the
Chicago for
photos that you
something.
posted. I feel like,
Yeah, it's been a while, but she hasn't met our youngest, so you know,
yeah.
just like to have that opportunity to see her. I don't get to see her very often.
No, I think it's gonna be a beautiful thing. I think we have like
So,
some fun
yeah.
ideas of what we're gonna like share in regards to like travel and activities and all that good stuff. But then in my mind, so I'm thinking about my son who is three, almost three and a half. Yeah, on his
Yeah.
way to being three and a half. And he is lovely. Love him. He's very rigid. He's quite a rigid thinker. And I have not yet potty trained him. So I mean, there's a lot of time between now and summer, and we're gonna try and tackle that. But the idea of him like being potty trained for that
Hmm.
long of a trip
Yeah.
kind of terrifies me. Like, I mean, he won't be in diapers at that point, but like, how nice
I
sometimes I
mean,
think about being in diapers, but you don't have to worry about it.
well, here's the thing. So our sons are the same, our seconds are the same age, essentially.
Yeah.
They're like a month apart. We did potty train, gosh, over the summer was when we started.
Yeah, you did.
And
I remember you saying you're starting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so
wait, but then
brave.
we like took the kids to Scotland with our parents, and I 100% made the decision to stick him in a diaper for the flights because you know what?
Did you?
Yes. And I talked to my sister who, parent, she's a pediatrics nurse, and I more just needed her like affirmation that I was
Were
making
you
the
like,
right
this is
choice
gonna set
because
me
I
back?
think
Or
my husband was like, no, he's potty trained, don't do it. And I think when I asked my sister, I was like telling her what I wanted to do. She, like the week prior, there had been a biohazard issue on a plane when someone literally just like pooped themselves, like had a like massive
oh my
episode of
gosh.
diarrhea
I mean,
on
fun.
the
Yeah.
airplane. And so like they had to do an emergency landing because it was then considered like a biohazard. And so my sister was like, you do not want to become the next biohazard on that
You're like,
flight.
this is you.
Yes,
This is your
stick him in
future if you don't
diapers.
do something smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did. And that's what I actually probably will do for,
You will?
I might.
Wow. I'm
He
only
at
saying
this
that
point,
because, yeah,
he at this point can like discriminate between like the fact that it's a diaper versus his like
yeah,
underwear.
yeah, you've been
And
out
so,
far enough from it.
right. So I
Yeah,
think he knows like he's really not supposed to go in the diaper. It's more just like an emergency backup plan.
yeah.
But I am not wanting to like sit in urine soaked clothes or a urine
No,
soaked airplane seat. And I don't want to do that to other people. So I might
it's
just
so
putting it out
interesting.
there.
So we
Folks
just had
listening, judge all you want. I don't care.
no, well, or give us your tips. Like if that's like not, if you're like, that's a terrible idea, blah, blah, like what would you do?
Right.
Tell us like what, because I had, you know, it comes up like in waiting in like a pickup or drop off line, all moms start to talk of like, oh, how is it going? Yada yada.
Yeah.
And it, you hear like teachers will bring like the kids out and the moms will be like, oh, did he or she have any accidents today or how was it? And I'll be like, you started potty training? You
Yeah.
started potty training?
Yeah.
You're he how old is he? Wait, you started potty training? So I feel like this, it's not like real pressure, right? Like my
Right.
son's gonna guide it, whatever it happens. But I was like, all right, he's smart enough, we can do this. And we've talked about it quite a bit of like, and we have a little potty. I have like the things on the seats. Like
Yeah.
we've done what I feel like is a lot of like pre-teaching around it. And he he was like pretty excited not too long ago, maybe like a month ago. And I was like, great, we're gonna just do this. And my daughter, when we potty trained her, just like one day in the summer, because she turned 3 in the summertime, she just like refused to put her diaper back on one day. And I was like, great.
And it
Like
just clicked,
and
right?
it
Like
just,
she just
she
got
got
it
it. Yeah, it
really
wasn't like
quickly.
a, I'm gonna do it this weekend.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. I got a plan. It was just like, all right. Like I had all the stuff, um,
Hmm.
like pull-ups, underwear, all that. And so I did the same with my son one day. He just like wanted to use the potty. And I'm like, yes, like this is it. Let's just like jump right in. And he did great for like the majority of the day. And again, when I feel like if people are listening, they might judge what I've done since then, but that's okay. Um, he was great, like could tell like when he had to like pee or whatever. And then what he does when he needs to poop is he'll be like, he'll go somewhere and then anywhere in the house, he'll like scream for me. You've seen him and heard him do this.
I have.
He's like, Mama. I'm like, yeah. He goes, me pooping. And I'll just go, okay, let me know when you're done. And like that's our routine. So
Right.
like it was over the weekend, or it must have been an evening time because my husband was home. And so he's like, Mommy, me pooping. And not to like, it just happened. It's just a natural reaction. My husband like knew he was in underwear, had like a
Oh,
really big, like, no, like you need to go on the potty. Like, come on, let's go. Like, no, 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 not you're wearing underwear. And it freaked him out. It freaked out my
yeah.
son. He then like stopped pooping, started bawling, and was like
Oh,
not wanting to do anything. He was
yeah.
definitely like a, I can't, I'm out. I don't want to. And then he, and I wasn't really ready then to like jump right into it
Yeah.
totally. So then I let
You
him
have to
go
be
back.
ready for like a full commitment when you
I
potty train.
know, I know. And I wasn't, I just was, I didn't have pull-ups. I had just bought like a set of underwear that he was wearing. Um, but I was not in like the headspace to do it. And it's like dead of winter where I'm like
Yeah.
this, where
Right.
I can't like be outside with you or something. So then I let him be in a diaper because I also have this like crazy fear of like what I hear from a lot of people is that like they get the pee down, no problem. Like that's not the issue. It's like the pooping, and then it leads to like some like crazy like stomach
Constipation.
constipation.
Yeah.
And I like don't. I feel like there's certain like kids ailments, illnesses that like don't bother me or like don't really like kind of send me over the edge. But I feel like the not being able to like poop and then you have to like do all that stuff is just, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I haven't done it. So then I was gonna do it over this. We just had like a 3-day weekend. And I was like, I had it in my calendar. I literally was done like potty training. I was like, okay, this is I'm gonna like do some research on stuff. I'm gonna follow some like accounts. You sent me some. I'm like,
Yeah,
this
did
is
you
what I'm
do
gonna
like
do.
any of those methods with your other?
No, my daughter, like,
She just got it so fast, didn't even
she
need
just
to.
got it. I mean, she had like one, I remember she was so surprised. Like we let her run around, I think it was like the first or second day. We let her run around and then she like pooped in our living room and was like totally embarrassed by it and
Yeah,
was like shocked. And we're just like, oh no, you have to just go in the in the potty. And we kind of like set her up again, like I don't know, like kids like squat when they poop, right? Like I just feel like it was
right.
like recreate that position. And she was like totally fine. I think she maybe had like one accident one time, one or two,
Yeah,
and felt like real bit, like felt it was like, oh shoot moment.
right.
Um, but no, in regard, I didn't like look into anything. I didn't have
Yeah,
the kind of process I was gonna follow.
I did like the abbreviated, I think they call it the oh crap method,
Okay. I haven't really
um,
looked into anything you've sent me yet, but you did send
which,
me.
if I'm remembering that correctly, it was essentially like a 3-day boot camp where like we went pantsless.
Yeah.
Um, and then you're just like on them 24/7, just catch them anytime they start so you can like quickly move them. And
Yeah.
I feel like my older one got it by day 3. Like day 1, he actually did really well. Day 2, I think he just was freaked out by it.
Right.
That was a battle. And then by day 3, he got it.
Yeah.
Didn't really have too many accidents like after that 3rd day, with the exception, well, actually 2 exceptions. One was we go to Wisconsin. We have a lake house there. It's like a 4 or 5 hour drive.
Yeah.
You have a newly potty trained child, you're going to make frequent stops, right? Well, those frequent stops when you're sometimes in the middle of the woods are just the nearest gas station.
Yeah.
So, and I think I told you this, like at when we returned and we were like home then for a week or two, he then went through a phase where he only wanted to pee in gas stations. And we
I
have
know.
one at the
So
end of our street, and he said he needed to go. And I was like, no, like we're literally
we're home.
a
Yeah.
quarter of a mile from our house in a car. Like, no, you can wait. And he purposely peed his pants because
Oh,
I didn't take him to the gas station.
I love him.
But luckily, he doesn't like when he's wet. And so, like,
Right.
that was like
Right.
a one-time thing. The other one, the other exception was, so we taught him to pee sitting down. I mean, I don't know. I've never potty trained a boy before. And, we sent him to daycare, and like within a couple weeks, he had this whole routine that he did to pee standing up.
Yeah.
And I hadn't taught it to him. And I asked my husband, he's like, I didn't teach him. So I'm like,
Right.
well, he must have learned from another kid in his daycare class. And so he had this whole routine where he'd like pull the stool over, climb up on the stool, lift the toilet seat up, pull his pants down, and then like people can't see me, but he'd like lean forward to like grab onto the toilet seat for so that he wouldn't like fall in.
Yeah.
And then it was angled in so he like could
To be
perfectly
more successful. Yeah.
right. And he did it, he started doing it. And I was like, I gotta get this on video for my family because this is just too
It
entertaining.
was so cute.
It
I
was. And then
remember this
do
video.
you remember?
It's
I actually
I
just
wish
watched
I
the
had it
video.
stored. I
I
wish
just,
I had it stored.
oh, I do. I'll send it to you again if you want. Uh, I just watched it the other weekend. Um, so I started recording it and then realized, wow, this is weird. He's like really struggling to initiate like his urine stream. And then I realized, oh, that's because he's pooping. So we then had to have the conversation of like, you can stand to pee, but you have to sit to poop.
Is literally
Um,
the best video. You just see him like concentrating so hard, and
so
you see this
hard.
little turd come out of his
Just
butt,
fall
and
out
you
of
don't
his
even know. It was
cute
like the
little butt.
funniest thing. Yeah.
Well, and then the best part
Oh.
was like the time he had to go to the bathroom after that, I think he scared himself. So he was gonna sit, except he hadn't lowered the seat. And so then he fell into the toilet.
Oh, it's such a hard thing.
But he was a lot easier to potty train than
Your second? I
this.
know. I think that also is like scaring me a little bit. Is that
Yeah.
I think that's a piece.
He like We potty trained over the summer. He did okay, but like was still having quite a few accidents. And then at one point fully regressed, where every time it was in his pants. And so we re potty trained actually like a month ago.
Yeah.
Um, and knock on wood, we've been
He's been
great
pretty
ever since.
he needed a little reset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, you sent me some places I have to look into, and I know I haven't purchased anything, and I know
Yeah.
I like the Big Little Feelings account.
Yeah. And then I also
And they
follow,
have like a
they have a
potty
potty
training
training
course
series. Yeah.
that you can purchase. I just
Yeah.
haven't but it's in the back of my mind if like I'm not being successful. So now I have
Yeah.
like
And I
we're not
think there's
going
the potty training consultant where so I followed her and got some tips from her
yeah.
account too.
And I think it just and so what happened, what really put me to like waiting was not
Yeah,
like
because you were all set
I was set.
to
I was
do
like, this
this.
has to happen. He's old enough. I can do it. I got this, like building myself up, talk to you
Yeah.
about it. And I was like, great weekend for her. We don't really have any plans. Um,
And then
and then and I was like, it's good, like he's in his crib, so like I don't have to worry about like that piece of like, I don't know, like that's pretty nice. He's contained. Um, and I remember going to uh a birthday party for my brother-in-law, and I was like talking to like my friends and like other moms, and I'm like, yeah, like seriously, like my son's gonna go to college in a crib, like he loves it, it's great, like he's never like tried to get out. Have you seen that like Instagram meme or something where it's like, oh, I'm gonna get it wrong, but it's like the moment I say my child has never, oh, I have to find it, it's like they've nevered before.
yeah.
I didn't say that at all correctly, but basically like I shot myself in the foot. So then that week my husband and I, sometimes our daughter will like get out of bed and like come to my husband's side and like ask him to like come put her back to sleep or say she had a nightmare, like ask if she can go pee. And we're like, yeah, please go. Like, then go back to bed. So then one night, I think it was like 2 nights after that party, we stare and we see like a kid at the end of our bed, and it's my son in his sleep sack. He had gotten
That
out of
was the second time.
the second time because he got out of his sleep like
The
you
first
were
time
over.
we were there.
Yeah, you were over. That was New Year's Eve. And he got out. He wasn't feeling well that day. So like we were all
Yeah.
still up. And so then all of a sudden we hear him at like the top of the stairs. And I was like, I
Right.
think he got out.
Yeah.
Still in a sleep sack. So he did that. And I was like, all right, maybe that was just like a fluke. Like
Right. Like a one-time thing, never
really
again.
strange. And then that same week to like a night later, he is talking to my husband. This time out of his sleep sack. I'm like, all right, like
Oh boy.
I think we gotta get him out. Like this just isn't safe. And then it was a Friday morning, and he had slept in a little bit, so I was like up in the hallway going to get the baby, and I hear just this big like thud in his room. And then he like slowly opened the door and he's like, is it morning time? I'm like, are you okay? And I'm like, all right, like you are past the point where I think that I can keep you in this crib. So like
Yeah.
that night we put him in his big boy bed, and he's done well now, but he needed like a good amount of time to adjust to it.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
just
and they do say like to not do too many big transitions at once, right?
yeah.
So
So
like
then I was like, well, this was this past month, I think. Like it was like 2-3 weeks ago that
yeah.
we did this. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
it's
like
not
right
too
around the
long
same
ago.
time that we started re potty training.
Yeah. And he it was like, I don't know if anybody remembers those like classic episodes of the Super Nanny where it was
Yes.
like
Oh, I love that show.
yeah, right. And she had some good things. Like, so
Yeah.
it was literally he would like come out of his bed in his room and we would like bring him back in. And then he'd find his way out and we'd bring him back in. And then sometimes he would be like peeking his head out, bring him back in. Times where I'm like, I'd be walking by because then I would have to stay upstairs just so he wouldn't like come downstairs and take forever to go back up. And I was like, oh, maybe he's asleep. And I only to realize that he figured out that he could like turn all the lights on in his room, and he was just like playing
Yeah.
with stuff that he found. So it was just like the back and forth. And finally we realized that he still likes to sleep in his sleep sack, but in his bed.
Mm-hmm.
But it took like maybe like 3 rough nights to, like,
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
Um, so now he's better with that. So now I feel like, okay, my new timeline in my mind is, like, spring break week.
Okay.
Going anywhere? And I was like, "I'm hopeful we can just" but then I'm like, "Shoot, I wanna do fun things on spring break week. Like,
Right.
do I really wanna be stuck at home potty training?" So now the new thing is my son will go to college in a diaper, not in a crib. He'll at least be in a bed, but
There
he's
you
gonna
go.
be in a
I
diaper.
don't think he will.
Well, and they say to, like,
It's
follow kids' leads. He now I think I missed the
oh,
this is what my fear is. I fear I missed this window that he was interested because now he's like, "No, me potty train when I'm older."
yeah, mine had
I'm
no interest, and quite frankly, I don't think he ever will. And
so they still
wasn't
do
it
it.
who are we talking to and that, like, the kid was like, "Nah, I don't need to get on that potty train."
Yeah, I was it not my son? I don't know, like, he's just
Like, "That no,
he's like,
it's not for
"No, it's
me."
cool." He, like, doesn't care.
No,
He's like,
thanks.
"I'm good." Yeah, he, like, doesn't like, it's really so
I
right now
think
I have
it's
to
more
do
you have to be emotionally ready
oh,
to
he's much harder.
rip
He's
the
so
Band-Aid
much
off.
more like he gets stuck
Yeah,
very easily.
'cause it's not fun. Ugh,
I know, add, like,
it was
being stuck
awful. It
and
was
rigid, and
so
then you
time.
add, like, pee and poop to it, like, oh
Right, and
my
it's
gosh,
just
fun.
messy, and I will say that we probably should have bought stock in Oreos because that has been, like, the one motivator.
Ugh, at least you found something. That's another piece. If anyone has, like, really good motivators, which I feel like we collectively know, like, a lot, my son is just totally, like, internally motivated, which is great for a lot of things, but for potty training, not so much
Yeah,
because
mine
he
has
just,
the
like,
sweet tooth, so
doesn't care.
yeah.
Maybe he
It's
will.
funny that, like, he's now he's gone 3 weeks without an accident, minus this morning, but I think that was because he was, like, constipated. Um, but he will just walk himself right over to the pantry, he knows where the Oreos are, and he knows he gets 1 if he peed and 2 if he pooped.
Way to go, dude.
Oh, he just helps himself now, I don't even care.
I know. Well, as
As long
long
as
as
you
he
pee in
does
the
it
toilet
right. Yeah,
and
I don't
not your
yeah,
pants.
right, as long as that's the case, and he's not just faking it or getting having tons of accidents. But, yeah, if anybody has gone through, like, a potty training, I always am up to hearing because I have to do this for my son, and then I have it to look forward to with my little one day.
Yeah.
Or
I
you
wonder if they like I don't think I actually read anything up on it, like if girls are easier to potty train than boys or vice versa.
I don't know. I'd
That's not
imagine
fun.
it's probably more like a personality piece,
Yeah, that would make
but
sense.
it's funny you mentioned too of, like, my son I mean, as a mom or any parent, like, the idea of going to the bathroom on your own is so rare that, like, I was, like, telling my husband, I was like, "If he needs to learn how to be, like, standing up, you're gonna have to show him." Like, yes,
Well, my youngest has absolutely no interest
you know
in
what I mean? Like,
peeing
or
standing
it's,
up.
like, not, but I think that that's okay. Those
Yeah,
are all the things where I'm like, "Ma well, is it bad?" Like, then when do they learn? Like, or is it, like, I don't know. I don't know. Then I just overthink
wait, but
everything.
then I think I saw probably a news article or something where it's actually like more hygienic to sit to pee, even for
Stop.
guys, because then
What?
it's not splashing around. So maybe
I
it's
mean,
fine if he just never
who's
learns
to
how to pee
say?
standing up.
What's that?
I said maybe it's okay if he never learns to pee
I
standing up. Although I
know.
will say that, like, when we're doing long hikes or in the woods,
Yeah, I feel like
real
there's that
easy
he's
for a
gotta
boy.
know. We gotta know. So it's gonna be both. Maybe that's why it's hard with boys because there's actually, like, a little bit more to know.
I don't know.
Anyway, I would love all the help and all the luck and all the, like, support.
I'll
Or
be
if
there for
or in the
you.
future, if you ever meet someone who's in college and he says, my mom never potty trained me," it's probably me. I'm his Can you help me?
Ah,
But so yeah, so we got that to look forward to. I mean, like I said, it'll be interesting of how we play it out with all of our travel stuff, but
yeah.
every kid learns, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll get there.
No, thanks. So yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. But again, if you have any tips, please share with us and share with the rest of the world. We're always happy to learn and get better at things. So
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all of the latest, you can follow us on Instagram @_andthenwehadkids. Thanks again, and like we say, life used to be carefree, and then we had kids.